my garden for next year. Today is about right now in Maryland, in my particular location. It is about 38 degrees right now Fahrenheit, and so we're dealing with that. Expected to go down to about 24 tonight, and then tomorrow about 22 degrees. Um, so that's where we are, and I got to tell you, I feel great. Um, I looked at my seed supply, and two things are going on. One, I have a lot of seeds. Two, I'm going to have even more seeds because I'm going to actually grow some of my plants to up my seed supply. Because you can hold on to seeds for a long time, but I want to make sure I have absolutely fresh seeds on hand, and that's where I'm at with that. So I found in my supply two or three different types of bush beans, and kind of excited about trying those out this year. Um, I left my garden with all the litter in it from last year's garden, weeds, grass, everything. So the soil is fertilizing on its own because everything that hits that ground goes back into the ground. I was saying this to people, for years about what takes place when you allow your garden to do a lot of things naturally. It is definitely going to fertilize itself. And I like to do it that way, just chop and drop. Nature does it naturally. And so that's where we are right now. Um, the trees must be trimmed back before we go into spring. I haven't done them yet, and I got some trim back, particularly just one plant. Um, so that's where I'm at with that. But I feel pretty good, folks. I got to tell you, um, the the fun about my garden is it's just I'm growing so much, and it's so hard to keep track of all of it sometimes. But I'm going to do some new things this year, um, and I already talked to you about the fact that certain things dealing with your garden, especially your fertilizer, is going to go through the absolute roof this year. And when that happens, you're going to wish you purchased it now. Uh, because I said to a lot of you, what I used to do is that I would get my fertilizer in the dead of winter, like right now. I used to buy and I still do at times when I feel like I want to mess with it, um, compost dead of winter, absolute dead of winter. That's when I would purchase it. So that's some of the things I did, and it helps out. It helps out because I get it when the bags are frozen hard like blocks of ice, and I load it up. Is the bags are easy to handle, but it is very cold when you're doing it that way, um, and so forth. So get your supplies now as opposed to waiting, because if you wait, you will be paying premium, and I mean premium prices this year. And that's how that's going to work. Premium prices. It's amazing. And I have everything I need. I have hundreds and hundreds of dollars now uh, worth of fertilizer stored, and I'm glad I did that. I'm absolutely glad I did that. Smart move on my behalf. Um, I just had something pop up on the screen and say, "Welcome to live chat. Recommend to guard your privacy and by your community guidelines. Abide by your community guidelines." Of course, I'll do that. But everything looks good. I'm just happy because uh, the garden always makes me happy when I think about the garden. And I'm gonna start some of my plants indoors like I normally do. I'm start them in bulk, which is mean. I wish I had a container to show you. I have a um, a container that's quart size, about that big around in the mouth, and I'm gonna put about 10 tomato plants in that, and let them grow out slowly. Um, then switch them to a gallon size container, and allow them to grow out slowly. Same thing with peppers. Same thing with eggplant. I might do my corn that way this year. I did it last year. It helps get a jump on everything. It helps get a jump on everything. Corn is a very, very heavy feeder. So I'm aware of that, and I'm also going to. I'm also going to try to do some peaches and cream corn this year. Peaches and cream. I like peaches and cream. It grows so it's so sweet. It's just it's just sad that it's so sweet. Yeah, peaches and cream. Yes, I'm just sitting here thinking, folks. I'm just sitting here thinking because um, I was born for this. You know, this doing it, this garden thing this way. I was born for it. Getting everything ready for the spring and summer, and growing it out. Um, I'm gonna do beans this year, um, eggplants, corn, tomatoes, and also melons. I like messing with the melons, so that's gonna be a big part of my garden. Um, and there we go. I got to make a nice soil mix this year too. I mean, start the seeds off in nice light, fluffy soil mix, because you will not catch me buying $8 and $12 bags of um, these items. I'm gonna tell you something. I went online to see what items cost now before winter sets in. I mean, excuse me, before spring sets in, and the prices now on gardening supplies are slowly creeping up. Um, and I'm looking at this going, wow, it's slowly creeping up already. And keep in mind, the only ones that are purchasing uh, uh, garden supplies now are people that's, I call them hardcore gardeners and farmers. They're the ones purchasing now, um, because they're trying to make sure that the supply is there before it starts. They can get it at cost, because right now it looks like the calm before the storm. And this year we're gonna see these price jumps, and it's gonna be sad. We already seen the price jumps with, and they're gonna continue to go up. You go online and you go to buy trees and vines such as excuse me, such as uh, the um grapes uh, plants. They've gone up, and they're gonna continue to go up. So that's gonna happen. So I'm saying before the bombshell hits, make certain that you purchase uh, what you need so you can get it at cost. Because a lot of the gardening channels I've looked at, they're not talking about this because they're mostly focused on creating videos that will get hits. Some of them, and so when there's nothing wrong with that, but I think it's time for y'all to know. Hello, how you doing? Hello, uh, first one clicked in today. But uh, getting uh, your food this year, make sure you make that a priority. Make sure you make it a priority. It's not about this year. The theme is different. It's not about just gardening and eating something fresh. It's not about that. It's about growing more tomato plants if you like tomatoes, more bean plants, more eggplants if you like those, because they're going to be expensive. Another thing, people who like watermelon and cantaloupe and honeydew, they're going to be expensive this year. So you want to make certain that you absolutely, get them in the ground. Another thing that I'm doing is I'm doing okra, and okra will be um, oh my God, you should see what I did, folks. I got all these cups I bought a while back from Walmart. They 5.5 inch round, and they got this little bottom on it that allows it to retain water, and I think that's going to be a big plus. Um, I'm going to do micro dosing to the plants once they get put in, which when I do that, it's putting the fertilizer right on the plant, not allowing it to be just put somewhere else and eventually the plant will get it, but right on the plant. And I also um, doing what they call spoon feeding my plants this year. It's going to be something that I'm going to get into and do is spoon feed my plants, which is reducing the amount that it's supposed to be fed, reducing that amount by half. I'm gonna do it by half, and then I'm going to do it more frequent, so that my plants eat like I do. They eat instead of feeding them every 2 to 3 weeks. I'm going to be doing it more frequent, and the plants will get more attention because I'll be on them. They'll be mostly fed also with a liquid um, fertilizer that will make certain that each day or every 3 days they'll get something to eat. Every 2 days they'll get something to eat. Paying attention to leaves that are turning slightly yellow or uh, browning tips and that sort of thing, so that I can stay on top of what my plants need. Staying out there, checking the grapevines, and make certain that they're getting pruned properly, so that you don't have the plant growing vine and instead of grapes. Um, Also, pruning the clusters of grapes, so that I only have the finest or the largest grapes to be fed, and discarding the little tiny grapes that will not be worth the plant investing its energy in. Another thing, getting a lot of that large wood out of those fruit trees of mine. The large wood out so that the tree can focus on fruit as opposed to growing wood. I don't want to grow large wood in my tree. Also, bringing them back down to a height that's manageable. And that's where I'm at right now. And I'm excited about that. So, before I go, because I haven't had anybody click in or anything like that, but I appreciate them all stopping by. But uh, the the thing about it is, I'm going to focus in on uh, creating a system, if you will, so bugs won't continue to eat up my peaches and my apples and that sort of thing. And the trees are much too large for me to put insect nets over them. I don't know what that would cost, but I'll come up with a plan that will be natural, that I can keep them off of the grapes. The grapes, birds always eat up my grapes every year. You are very knowledgeable. Oh, thank you very much. I'm very knowledgeable. Wow, thank you, thank you. Um, but make certain that you keep the insects off and the birds off, because if you're growing uh, grapes and they're pretty, and I've done it year in and year out, different years, and I watched grapes grow, and they just pretty, and then the birds get them. Before I even get anywhere near them, the birds get them. And I go, oh my goodness, not again. Same thing with my blueberry plants. Beautiful blueberry plants. Soon as they turn perfect blue, I get off work the next day, every single berry is gone. Birds. I cannot, I used to try to, I'll put it this way. I used to try to share with the birds and say, well, if they eat a certain amount and I can still get mine, fine. But I'm not getting any. Grapes I have not eaten in a long time because year in and year out, the birds eat them up. So that's got to stop. The other thing is also the blueberries. They're eating up the blueberries. Have you tried netting for the blueberry bush? I have tried netting in the past, and it would always wound up with a bird hung up in the netting and die before I can get him out of the netting. And I would say, "Oh man," I said, "I didn't mean for him to die, but he would die just like that when he would struggle to get out of the net." Um, but I'm thinking of another type of netting um, that might work, which is an insect netting, where the bird is, I think, would be less likely to get hung up in that net, but it would keep the birds off the berries. It would keep the insects off of the berries as well. So that's something I'm thinking of as well. And I found a couple of good companies that I want to look into and see if I can um, get this just to get the ball rolling. I'm gonna spend a little money up front. I'm knowledgeable of that, but the items that I'm purchasing for this year garden is going to be purchased now. I'm not waiting until you see that window of spring coming, and then everything gets marked all the way up. I'm going to do it now because right now these businesses are kind of struggling to stay afloat. Let's see. Hey man, put oh, they keep blinking off the screen before I read everything. Um, but I'm looking at it because uh, if I allow the prices to jump for the netting, for the weed fabric, for instance, um, and I let that happen, it's on me. It's meaning that I will pay a premium price for it, and I refuse to do that. So right now, I'm doing my research now. I'm picking it apart. I'm looking into getting the best information to make the best choice. Once that takes place, I will implement my plan and buy everything early. It'll be shipped, dropped off at the door. And once it all starts laying into place, I'll just say, okay, we're ready to go, ready to rock and roll on this. Um, and that's how we'll do it. So this has been the Morning Gardener show. I snuck in again. Nobody knew I was coming. One thing about this show, this show sneaks in and sneaks out, but I love it because I do have some people that still come around and they watch my videos and they stick around. They've been there for the long haul. Um, uh, but I'm just, a guy that loves growing food and loves watching plants grow. And I've been doing it now. This will be 22 years. 22 years. Who would have ever thought? Wow. But I enjoy it so much. This is the Morning Gardener Show. I want to thank you all for tuning in. And remember, I always say at the end of the show, keep on growing. And and I will do more shooting of my garden this year outside as opposed to online doing it. Well, I'll mix the two together, but online, let you see how the garden's coming along and like that because people like to see plants grow and the beautiful, brilliant colors and the size of plants, the health of plants. They like to see that, and so that will be part of my plan. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. The Morning Gardener Show. Thank you.